Hey guys, welcome back. Hope you had a good long weekend. It's Tuesday, September 2nd, new month. We're going to review 0-day options today. I took on SPY and the small account challenge. Hope you had a nice long weekend. Came into today with a pre-market sell-off. I think it was tariff, trade deals, maybe potential. I didn't look too much into it. So yeah, open today under the 20 moving average, the 20-day, which is this red line here. And as you can imagine, IV was higher today. Contracts were more expensive, and the range was pretty large. So you make good money, but it's a recipe for also losing good money. Range today was, what is that, like 6 points? So not crazy, but it tested both ends of it quite a bit. So a lot of big range in between that 6 points. It wasn't like 2 points all day and then 4 points at the last 30 minutes. We had pretty big swings. Let's see, 635. Yeah, like 5.5. Felt pretty big. So IV high, I don't usually trade as well. You gotta be more careful. Just a little bit of decay and your contracts are down 20% in a hurry. So tight stops, higher delta, I think, is in your favor on a day like today, at least for me. Yeah, there's less quick decay. So I charted purple here, and gold I had. Did I get gold? Pretty early on. I had this white one also for the early algos. Didn't take any trades in here. I guess. Yeah, it's like, okay, breaking gold. You have a little head and shoulder, inverse head and shoulder. Tight little range. Trying to like hindsight, sure. I wasn't prepared for that. Yeah, I'm like still drawing and so yeah. At that point I'd say a cup closed, so maybe I'd wait for a handle on it, but yeah, just rallied out of there, so no big deal. And again, morning IV is pretty crazy. So came up, kind of found purple as resistance. At this point I think I maybe put green in. Yeah, I had green for bearish control buying, and then gold was my bullish controlled buying or selling, and I didn't have a whole lot else other than that. I think at that point put in this white and just noticed liquidity being built. Again, we're kind of in no man's land down here with a gap above us. Here's SPY Day Trading on YouTube. Here's his 30-minute chart. It's Eric. So we did kind of open down below the blue there. So I see the inverse cup potentially needing to be closed down here at 633. Didn't make it down there today, but opening down here, and then he charted this aggressive selling green channel. So being careful not to go long until that's at least broken was kind of what was in my head a bit. So yeah, just grind around. So here's gold again, kind of starting to show up here, and green. Yeah, okay, so I did have green here, and I consider getting puts right here on this break. I didn't like the structure a whole lot. A better one would have been a retest on the gold, but I wasn't too confident at that point. So this would have been like basically a retracement trade. And then the break here, I would have, but I looked over at Emperor's chart and they had a much less aggressive magenta down here, and I'm like, it still is in the wedge if it breaks here. And I kind of thought it might, but I just didn't have that one charted yet. And so sure enough, it did sell, and then kind of kept making the same structure, which was nice. There was entries in here. Could have taken on a break of green. Almost got it on this VWAP retest. It's kind of, I wanted more of a retrace. If it came back up to green, I would have taken it, especially if it coincided with that white. I was definitely down for that. It never really made it back up there on the retraces. They're all pretty small. Another little head and shoulders right here. And at this point, I actually moved the white here for resistance. So I could have taken it again on here. And part of the problem is, well, I guess it didn't bother me too much because it just kind of kept grinding down. But at any one of these points, it could have, of course, gotten into a steeper algo and started selling aggressively. So each time I did that, there was opportunity cost for me not to get in. That being said, the retracement wasn't great, so I don't know if I had the white, this white at this point until here. So then it was kind of, yeah, then it was like this one. I'm like, well, it's basically a low a day. I might as well wait for the inverse cup. Sometimes I've noticed this happens, and this is also because they're less aggressive magenta that they recognize, which I didn't have. But sometimes it won't complete the inverse cup quite, and then you'll get some liquidity built, and then it'll make a structure, and then it'll flush through it, which is kind of what happened today, without much continuation. So here's Eric's chart. No, it's actually Emperor's. So yeah, same. If you can see here, the red was pretty accurate. Where it broke it, didn't, I mean, kind of completed it, but not complete. I guess you could say it did. I don't know, it looks like it did on his chart more than mine. That's weird. I guess mine's a little more zoomed in. And then bounced up and found that as resistance. That would have been a nice entry for sure. Any of those earlier ones, again, the selling was a little bit, it looked controlled, it was kind of slow. IV was high, I didn't have a whole lot of trades I could take, so we'll look at the trades I did take. But then this one you did get that nice candle that flushed through the low. So yeah, and then it just started grinding down here, and I'm looking for potential for a retrace, and actually that's where I took my first trade. You could say it was impatient, I guess, maybe a bit of FOMO from all of this coming down without me catching any of it. I started to get I don't know, a little bit of FOMO maybe. Let's see, that was 11:56. 11:56, I was into a call. Yeah, just one. So let's see, right here. So that was on the retrace. Yeah, so it broken the gold and the white right here, and retraced a little bit with the red. Given when it's gonna reverse, it's not typically like crazy bounce in reverse. It's gonna kind of taper or whatever and go slow, and sometimes it might go crazy, but yeah, in this case it didn't. So I grabbed it, and yeah, I stopped out pretty quick. So 56 to 58, 50 cents to 41 cents. Let's see, yeah, I stopped out on this candle. Yeah, it was a bit impatient. I guess it was already 12 o'clock, and I'm like, eh. So did end up making a nice retrace. Once it grabbed the shoulder, that's kind of what I was looking for. Could have gotten in there, but then we're still kind of grinding. So then it's like, well, we've got gold, and yeah, we'll get into that in a minute. Next trade is at 12:49, and it was a put. Yeah, right there. So I didn't have this one in here at that point, this darker gold. So let's see what I have. I think I had green and it had broken it. Also had a head here, nice shoulder. It grabbed that, but just lacked the continuation to the downside. And of course, that's where it ended up flipping into that becoming an inverse head. I feel like sometimes maybe I'm still a little like candle chasey. But yeah, that was a nice inverse head for that little shoulder to break out of this area. I guess you could say cup closed here, and this was the handle. So yeah, that was my next trade. Let's see, 38 cents to 35. That was 12:49. Closed out in the same minute. Yeah, right in the same minute. So then yeah, I saw that, and again, I think I only had one trade at that point left, and I was like, I'm not gonna take it here. I'll just give it time. So I gave it time, and at 12:49, no, that's the one I just said. Oh yeah, that sucked. So that's actually what happened here. 12:49, I bought, and then I scaled into it for a little cheaper on this 49 candle. I don't know why I was so confident. I think I was getting a little greedy at that point and just wanted a big move on the account. So yeah, I got two at that point, which 38 cents and 35 cents, and then sold them both at 12:51. Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, and I waited a while in the sell too, unfortunately. And a day like today, you can't wait a while. They go against you fast. So sold it on this one. It's basically grabbed that liquidity, and then the next candle I sold it. So sold them out for 26 cents. That was kind of an ugly loss. It was down like 30 something bucks. And then I'm seeing, of course, inverse head and shoulder, but I'm like, well, we got gold up here. I'll just I'll give it some time. How's the two red trades, and that one was kind of scaled up, so that's no good. And then on the big account, let's see, big account, actually I did get puts right here at my gold resistance, and this was actually a nice little trade. The little moves today were paying out very well just because the range was larger, I believe. The candles were pretty big. It weren't like a lot of small inside candles. Of course, this was just a setup to break out of this gold, which I didn't catch this one, which probably was multiple hundreds of percent, because this one right here I think was like 40% from this gold down to here. Took some profit, stopped out of the other one, break even. Didn't catch this one, but yeah, I saw it here and I'm like, I wanted to retest, never retested. So often that the trades just don't retest. And I'm like, well, my stop will be purple. Yeah, I don't think I took that on the big account. So that's kind of a bummer, because this was really the trade, the good retracement trade. A little inverse head and shoulder. Cups had closed, some of them. It broke this final gold that I had, even though I think Eric and those guys had probably a flatter one up here. Yeah, and it's probably because I was in the puts there, which I don't think that was a bad idea to have puts there at the resistance when we're in a sell-off day. This very well still could be the handle. So it's either get puts there, wait for it to break this gold and get them down here. You're gonna get them up here. It was a green trade, but to flip and just to be flexible, I'm not always that flexible to flip and go the other way. Sometimes you'll see me do it and it works out. Sometimes you'll see me do it and it doesn't work out. At this point, I was like, hey. So I didn't catch that one. On the big account, I did have a couple nice trades. Okay, so right in here, I guess I was kind of waiting for it to retrace here potentially to complete the daily cup. Started grinding down, building liquidity, kind of with gold, but see, I think my gold was a little bit off. I think those other guys were a little different. Yeah, it's close. Not quite. Never really made a nice structure, but did come down and retest VWAP. And oh yeah, retested this gold. That's what it was. So both those coincided, and it broke the white. And so I didn't get calls here. I considered it. I don't know. I didn't want to get it. So I didn't, but then I did get it after this large candle with volume. A lot of volume came in, large candle. So it's not a candle chase. It broke what I was waiting for it to break. I got it on a retrace. I'm happy with the entry. Of course, here would have been better. I guess my stop's basically right there. But the fact that we didn't have much structure here actually was, I think that was more the reason, because they're just kind of grinding down this channel. So once this candle came in with volume and it broke that, and then I got it on the retest there on the big account. And on Emperor's chart, let's see. Yeah, on Emperor's chart, it broke out. Yeah, it was very similar, actually. He then had one like my gold here, so maybe they shouldn't have him earlier, I'm not sure. So actually, this move right here, literally just on this candle to this one, was 50%, even more. So I got one on the small account also. I see all this volume. I see that, you know, we've retraced most of the way. We've broken out of my last one here. On the 30-minute, we've broken the steep selling channel. Yeah, so I'm seeing potential for high of day, and with this volume and aggressive buying here, I just got greedy. I got greedy on the little account and didn't take my profits on it. This would have, of course, been first take profit at this high. Next one would have been maybe high a day. I didn't have too aggressive of a buying in here, just this purple. So since it left the purple so quickly, by the time I close it, if it broke purple, is like pretty far down here, and that's basically break even. Anyways, it came up. I got 2 on the big account, my 1 on the little account. Little account, let's see, is it 249? Yeah, right here on the retest. Got it for 24 cents. It did go to like 56 or something cents, so I think it was around 100%, which would have put my day about break even. But yeah, bugger. Ended up just stopping out of that one because once it had this candle, I was like, engulfing candle, I probably should close it. And I was like, I'll give it time for this in case it's just building a little more to keep rallying. And by that point, it was only, you know, the trade was only 10% or so, which is $2 or something on the trade. It was a small, you know, it's $24 contract. So Wasn't really worth it. I was like, I'll just hold till stop. On the big account, I traded better. Not actually that much better because I didn't catch the slippage on this candle. I was just greedy on all accounts on this one because the slippage on this candle was amazing. These candles had a lot of velocity and volume. And on the big account, I waited until this candle, and this was quite a bit different. Probably 15% difference between catching it here and then catching it here. So out of the two on the big account, I sold one on that candle, and then I put a stop out on the other one, and it actually just stopped me out here, unfortunately. It seems like if you catch it on the break, it's almost always going to retrace and stop, and that's why you can enter on the retraces. Like, this would have been a great entry. In hindsight, of course, because you have the cup that closed here. Maybe if it came down a little further, I would have been more inclined. I think because there wasn't great structure, it just looked like it was building liquidity again. But yeah, so stopped at that trade on the big account was nice though, just the one, even though it stopped at the second one. And then I was out of buying power on the little account and ended up just with the red day from the earlier trades. Could have pulled it back there at the end, but yeah, what part of it is, yeah, I did look at Eric's Discord and it was like he was doing good trades. And days like today, if you're confident, you have high probability setups that you're confident with, you can hold for a long ways. And that's exactly what Eric was showing with his charts and his trades. And that's part of the reason I don't look at his Discord during the day, just because I think it kind of messes me up. It kind of gives me FOMO at times. Because he got puts like up here, and he gets enough to where he was selling them down here, and it was like 600% or something. And I'm like, man, like, I know I can do it. I just, with this size account and with only having one, it's like I can't, and I'm fine with that because I know I'm not ready to have a bunch of contracts that I'm holding for big runners. But yeah, I think it just kind of got in my head a little bit because he had one 500% like down here. You got calls somewhere down here and held it up to here for another crazy percentage. I'm like, ugh. Yeah, and he's protecting a lot before it gets to there, but no, I'm stoked for him. It's just like, I think that was getting in my head a little bit, and so I was like, I want the big move, and yeah, it was there. It's got to just be for runners, and I can't do break-even stops unless I get entries basically on supports or resistances. I'm getting entries on breakouts. Break-even stop is almost always going to get triggered, I feel like. Because this was actually ended up being a nice move. I mean, this probably was a few 100%, just even though it was a slow grind. Yeah. So that's kind of my thinking behind that. I did have another nice trade actually on the big account sort of towards end of day. The percentages were pretty big today just because of the range, I think. I think it was maybe calls right here on this candle. Or maybe I even actually got back in here. I can't remember. I'm not going to read the big count. But that's what I got. Thanks for watching, guys. Sub up, like up, comment down. Have a nice next round. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.